Alright man, this isn't a video that I thought I would be making this season. And, I mean, can you blame me? The same dude that did this, and this, not even 3 months ago, is now back and has actually brought much needed energy and order to a team that's desperately been needing it all season. Now, are they perfect? No, we'll get to that. But they are definitely in a better position than they were before he was back. And his impact has been apparent since pretty much the moment he got back. During his extended suspension from December 12th until January 15th, the Warriors played 17 games, and they were actually 8th in the league in offensive rating. But the main struggle has been defense, as during this stretch, the Warriors had a defensive rating of 123.3, which ranked second last in the league during this stretch, ahead of only the Detroit Pistons. Yeah. But ever since his return game on January 15th, a little over a month has passed since then, and the Warriors have, again, played 17 games since then. And their defensive rating in those games has improved to 5th in the NBA during that stretch, with a defensive rating of 112, behind only the Miami Heat, Boston Celtics, Minnesota Timberwolves, and Cleveland Cavaliers. And that's pretty much the main issue. Their offensive rating has gone from 120 during the previous 17-game stretch to 119.2 during this new 17-game stretch, and so a very negligible difference. But their improvement on defense has also contributed to an improvement in their record in these games, as they went from 8-9 in the previous 17 games to 11-6 in the more recent stretch, including a 12-game stretch in which the Warriors went 10-2 against a few good teams. They beat the 76ers twice, although one of those games was the game that Joel Embiid left, and the other one being the game that he missed. But there were still some positive takeaways from that game, and they've actually been blowing out the teams that they're supposed to be blowing out. The Memphis Grizzlies, they won by 20. The second Sixers game, they won by 23. The Indiana Pacers, they beat by 22. And the Utah Jazz, they also beat by 22. And that, of course, again, is attributed to their defense. But the reason why their defense has been so good throughout this recent stretch of games is mainly because of the lineups that have been being put on the floor. The Warriors, known for popularizing small ball with Draymond Green at the 5 many years ago, almost 10 years ago at this point. I am getting old. They are pretty much going back to that. The Warriors first tried to pair Jonathan Kuminga and Andrew Wiggins on defense, which that did not work out at all, as before the adjustment, those two on the court together had a defensive rating of 119, which is not ideal, to say the least. But on January 27th against the LA Lakers, the Warriors made the adjustment to start a small ball lineup once again. Draymond Green at center, Jonathan Kuminga at the 4, Andrew Wiggins at the 3, Klay Thompson at the 2, and Steph Curry at the 1. The Draymond Green and Jonathan Kuminga pairing has been, in the words of the man himself, absolutely incredible, as the Golden State Warriors, with those two together on the floor, have a defensive rating of 105 in 310 minutes, which is pretty clearly the best defense in the league. And in terms of on-off numbers, since that lineup adjustment, the Warriors have had a defensive rating of 106.8 with Draymond Green on the court and a 111.6 with him off. Jonathan Kuminga and Draymond Green during the stretch have the two best on-court defensive ratings and the two worst defensive ratings off the court. It's been very apparent how much this is actually working, and it's mainly due to the reason that the small ball lineup was ran in Golden State in the first place. Having Draymond Green at center means that you have a smaller player that is a little bit more switchable, that can guard pretty much 1 through 5 on the court, as long as it's not Jokic or Embiid, and can force a lot of misses. But also with good defenders around him, like Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, Klay Thompson at times when he's guarding slower players, they can also force misses, and when he gets the rebound, it has been a lot more fast break points and a lot faster pace in general for Golden State throughout this recent stretch of games. Their pace has gone up from 98 possessions per game to 102 per game ever since this adjustment. So now you're giving more shots to guys like Klay, Andrew Wiggins, Lester Quinones has been hitting recently, but most importantly, Steph Curry, someone that was shooting 36% from 3 on 11 attempts per game during Draymond Green's suspension. And as we know, Draymond is probably the best player on the team at finding Steph and getting him good looks. Ever since Draymond Green came back, Stephen Curry is shooting 44% from 3 on 13 attempts per game, and that's including a a handful of stinkers. 3 for 9, 2 for 8, and his last 2 games in which he shot 4 for 21 from 3 combined. If you exclude those 2 games and bring it to a 15-game sample, he's shooting 47% from 3 on 13.3 attempts a game. That is 6.3 threes every game. Obviously, part of that is just Steph being Steph, but another factor is obviously just having Draymond back to get him better looks. And speaking of three-point shooting, Draymond Green has been a threat from 3 this season. He is shooting 44% from 3 on almost 3 attempts a game. And while a majority of those threes are coming in the first quarter, he's still making them. So I mean, it's still a shot that you kind of need to respect. And the Warriors are getting a lot more rim runs as a result because they're stretching out defenses so much that it's giving dudes a lot more opportunities to cut. And as we know, Draymond Green is an expert at finding those dudes as well. So it's been pretty much just Draymond being Draymond. And it's coming without the antics, which is one of the most important factors of this entire thing. Draymond Green has 1 technical foul since his return. He's been extremely well behaved, and that's led to us getting defensive possessions like this. This is the only breakdown because we have some other stuff to get to in this video, but this is an absolute masterclass in defense. So Draymond is on Cody Martin on this play, and so he's able to kind of roam around a lot more than we would expect to see from him. Cody Martin is an okay 3-point shooter. He's shooting about 33% from 3 this season. So Draymond is pretty much just content to play off of him almost in the paint because he knows that he's going to be able to recover to him in time. And Cody Martin is not going to shoot a 3 with Draymond Green contesting him. So as soon as he gets the pass back off, Draymond is already dropping back again to help on Nick Richards in the paint. And Dario and Draymond switch. Dario is now on Miles Bridges. I don't even know how he's in the league right now, but that's a conversation for another day. They give it back to Cody Martin as Draymond has now left him, and he recovers back. Dario Saric recovers back to Nick Richards, and Steph takes the Miles Bridges assignment. And so with Draymond's attention occupied with Nick Richards now, as this is pretty much a mismatch, Dario Saric at the 5 has not been working out this season. Draymond is helping, and that allows Cody Martin to cut to the basket with Draymond not looking. And this is actually a fantastic pass to Cody Martin, but Draymond is able to just recover and basically force Cody Martin to make a decision. He makes the decision to pass to Miles Bridges, who is now cutting, and Draymond Green picks him up. And so Miles is forced to bring the ball back out to the 3-point line and try something different, but they're pretty much just out of options at this point. Draymond is helping again off of Cody Martin. This probably should have been a pass into the corner, but I imagine that Steph would have recovered in time anyway, and they wouldn't have had enough time to make that extra pass to Miles Bridges on the wing. And so this is a block shot from Draymond Green. Absolutely ridiculous defense, and this is where he thrives the most, is when he's able to roam off of guys like this. But an issue that the Warriors have been having, which is partially due to this new lineup, is that Draymond is having to cover so much, especially against bigger matchups like the Denver Nuggets, like the Atlanta Hawks, like the LA Lakers, that it's leading to breakdowns where you probably wouldn't be seeing them if you had someone like Trayce Jackson-Davis next to Draymond in the lineup. There were a lot of times during especially the Nuggets game where Draymond was occupied with some action involving either Michael Porter Jr. or Jamal Murray, and he would be dropping off of Jokic. Now, Jokic is not the best 3-point shooter, and he doesn't shoot that many of them a game, but he was content to shoot them, and he was actually hitting his threes in the recent Nuggets game. And so Draymond was having to cover a lot of ground trying to get back to him on these kickouts. And I'm not sure that this is really feasible for the rest of the season because he's having to cover so much just with Klay Thompson not being the defender that he used to be, and so dudes are getting by him a lot more easily. Andrew Wiggins has been picking it up recently, but he is still kind of working on getting back to the defensive level that he was at during the title run year. Gary Payton just came back, and so it's been really interesting to see what the Warriors are content with giving up as a result. The Clippers game was a prime example. The Warriors had to help a lot on dribble drives, especially in the fourth quarter, and they were getting burned because they kept leaving dudes like Norman Powell and Amir Coffey wide open in the corner. And it's these types of shots that have been killing them all season. The kickouts to wide open threes because they have to help so much on the drives. Meanwhile, you have someone like Trayce Jackson Davis on the bench, and I'm sorry that I'm bringing this up again, but there's literally no reason why someone like him shouldn't be playing. He's been your best rim protector by opposing field goal percentage this season at 57.5%, and even with the eye test, almost every time he is subbed into the game, there is an immediate impact on shots at the rim, and teams clearly take notice of it. Kevon Looney, while of course we do love him, he is just not the same player that he was even last season, and especially a couple seasons ago on defense. When you look at it like that, it's definitely going to be concerning and something to watch as the season goes on, because there is a real possibility that they might be asking Draymond to do too much on defense right now, but he is doing it. Like, all the issues that I've just laid out, and he has still been one of the key pieces to the Warriors during this last month. But as I said, it is going to be very interesting to see what he's going to look like towards the end of the season, because I imagine that if they continue to run Draymond at 5 lineups, he is going to get fatigued a lot more than he would if he was just playing the 4 per se. And it's for a completely different reason than you might say don't do this for a whole season in 2017. In a season like 2017, you don't want to run him at center for a while because of the fact that he's going to get banged up. Now, you don't want to do this because of the amount of ground that he has to cover on every single defensive possession. And so it's just different reasonings, but still the same conclusion. But of course, the Warriors have greatly benefited from him being back. And of course, the pairing of him and Jonathan Kuminga, a player that I have made a video about, so you can check that out here. But with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new, hit the bell to be notified when I upload, comment down below what you want to see next, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.